Okay, stop for a second. Have you ever looked at a massive ship sitting in the water and noticed that the bottom part, the part that goes underwater, is always painted in this deep, dark red color? Every ship, every ocean, every country, they all do it. But here's the question nobody asks. What if they just didn't? What if one day, every ship in the world said, you know what, forget the red paint, and just sailed without it? Sounds like a small thing, right? Just skipping some paint. What's the worst that could happen? Well, my friend, a lot. And by the end of this video, you're going to look at ships completely differently. So if you haven't already, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's dive in. Section 1. First, why is that paint even there? Before we talk about what happens without it, let's quickly understand why ships are painted red below the waterline in the first place. That red paint has a special name. It's called anti-fouling paint. And it doesn't just look cool, it does a very important job. You see, the ocean is absolutely full of life. Barnacles, algae, mussels, worms, and all kinds of tiny sea creatures are constantly looking for a surface to grab onto and call home. And a ship's hull, that's prime real estate for them. The moment a ship touches water, these organisms start attaching themselves to the bottom of the ship. They grow, they multiply, and before you know it, the entire bottom of the ship is covered in a thick layer of marine life. The red color comes from the chemicals and compounds mixed into the paint. Things like copper oxide, which are toxic to these sea creatures and stop them from sticking. It acts like a shield, keeping the hull clean and smooth. So, now the big question, what happens when that shield is gone? Section 2. The ocean fights back. Biofouling takes over. Without anti-fouling paint, ships would face something called biofouling, and it would start almost immediately. Within just a few weeks of a ship being in the water, barnacles and algae would begin attaching to the hull. Within a few months, the bottom of the ship would look like an underwater reef. We're talking hundreds of kilograms, sometimes even tons, of marine growth clinging to the hull. Now, here's where it gets really serious. All that extra weight and roughness on the hull creates something called drag. Imagine trying to run through water versus running through air. The rougher and heavier the bottom of the ship, the harder the engine has to work just to move forward. Studies have shown that heavy biofouling can increase a ship's fuel consumption by up to 40%. That's not a small number. For a large cargo ship that burns hundreds of tons of fuel per day, that's a catastrophic increase in cost and pollution. So no red paint doesn't just mean a dirty ship. It means a slower, hungrier, much more expensive ship. Section 3. The fuel crisis and environmental disaster. Let's zoom out and think about the global picture for a moment. There are roughly 50,000 to 60,000 large ships operating in the world's oceans right now. They carry about 90% of everything we trade globally: food, electronics, clothing, oil, medicine, everything. If none of these ships had anti-fouling paint, the fuel consumption of the global shipping industry would skyrocket. Right now, shipping already produces about 2.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Without that paint, we could be looking at emissions jumping by 30 to 40% from shipping alone. That means more carbon dioxide, more sulfur emissions, and a much faster push toward climate change, all because of missing paint. And it's not just about fuel. More fuel burned means more money spent. And who pays for that? Eventually you do, through higher prices on almost every product you buy. Section 4. Invasive species, a silent global catastrophe. Here's the part most people never think about, and it might be the scariest part of all. Ships travel between countries, between continents, between completely different ecosystems. And when marine creatures attach to the hull of a ship, they hitchhike from one part of the world to another. Without anti-fouling paint, ships would carry massive amounts of foreign marine life from one ocean to another. These are called invasive species, creatures that don't belong in a new ecosystem and can cause enormous damage when they arrive. A famous example is the zebra mussel, which was accidentally introduced to North America from Europe. It spread through waterways, clogged pipes, destroyed native species, and caused billions of dollars in damage. And that was from just one species. Now imagine that happening on a global scale, with dozens of different invasive species being transported around the world on the hulls of 50,000 unpainted ships. Entire ecosystems could collapse. Fish populations that locals depend on for food could vanish. Coral reefs could be smothered. The damage to marine biodiversity would be almost impossible to reverse. Section 5. What about the ships themselves? Let's not forget what all this does to the actual ships. Without protective paint, the steel hull of a ship is exposed directly to salt water. Salt water is extremely corrosive. It eats through metal fast. This process is called corrosion, and it weakens the hull over time. A ship's hull is what keeps the ocean out and the cargo in. If it starts corroding and weakening, you're looking at structural failures, cracks, leaks, and in worst-case scenarios, ships breaking apart at sea. On top of that, ships without protective paint would require far more frequent and expensive dry docking, where the ship is taken out of the water for maintenance and hull cleaning. Right now, ships can go years between dry dockings, partly because of that paint. Without it, they might need cleaning every few months. The cost to ship owners would be enormous, and many smaller shipping companies simply couldn't survive. Conclusion: it's just paint until it isn't. So, here we are. One question: what if ships didn't have red paint below the waterline? And the answer turns out to be a full-blown global crisis. Higher fuel costs, exploding carbon emissions, invasive species destroying ocean ecosystems around the world, ships corroding and falling apart, supply chains collapsing, prices going up on everything you buy, that dull, boring red paint. It's one of the most quietly important inventions in the history of human trade. It keeps our oceans cleaner, our ships faster, our costs lower, and our ecosystems protected, all at the same time. Next time you see a ship, or even a photo of one, take a look at that red bottom. It's not just paint. It's the reason global trade works the way it does. If this video made you think differently about something you'd never noticed before, that's exactly what this channel is all about. Drop a comment below. What other everyday thing do you want me to break down next? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of these deep dives. I'll see you in the next one.